Good afternoon, everyone. I am Lynette Gibson McElhaney. It is my honor and privilege to serve our city as the representative for District 3, which is the area that is bound by our waterways, from the bay to the lake, from the estuary to the 580. It is an area of town not unfamiliar to everyone. I always say it's the heart and soul of the town. So inhabiting our fabulous communities of West Oakland, downtown, uptown, Jack London, the lake. Don't get jealous, no. I want to call the attention to the area that I represent only because it is an area that is heavily impacted by this horrific crime of illegal dumping. I want to thank you all for undertaking the first part of the discussion, to Councilmember Gallo and to each of you who understand the importance of this issue. And I also want to recognize for the public that this has been an all-in decision. Not only did the council pass a budget that included increased resources for personnel and equipment, but we all recognize the significant damage that illegal dumping causes our city. It is a public health issue, not only from the sense that we think about it in terms of the dumping that creates infestation of rodents, or the toxic dumping that is dangerous to our waterways and to our health, but it's also something that impacts the mental health of our citizens. It's a depressing thing to live in a city where there's grime and graffiti and trash, where you feel like no one cares for your town, particularly in lower income communities where people feel neglected and where the resources don't often extend, where maybe people don't have cars or trucks to do the voluntary work that we're doing in some other parts of the city. It is a compromise to our wealth, our collective wealth, of our individual wealth. I've heard of residents throughout the city, particularly in District 3, that are spending a great amount of their own cash resources to remove the dumping. It is a threat to our economic vitality. Earlier this year, we had one of our corporate businesses contact us, and after being in this city for multiple decades, were ready to pull the plug, take their 60 employees with them, because we had an entrenched dumping directly across the street. And with the dumping, as earlier speakers have talked about, come encampments, come all kinds of other violent acts and drug dealing, and because it begins to feel like no one cares. And so we had to step in, and I give great appreciation to the administration joining with us, both the economic development staff and the public works staff. We came up with a solution that involved bringing in these large unused logs to block access to this place. And it was a fantastic save story, but we don't necessarily have enough logs, or is it the appropriate way to respond to this? And so I am pleased today to ask your consideration on this committee to join me and the City Attorney Barbara Parker in stiffening the fines and penalties that are associated with this crime. Now, it would be easy, I think, for some to say, oh, Oakland has so many other problems and so many other priorities, and we don't necessarily have to do this. But I think we do. Councilmember Gallo told a story that broke my heart today, that somebody of financial means, driving a Mercedes-Benz, clearly in their right mind, had such a disrespect for this city that they could stop in broad daylight in full view and take trash from the back seat of a Mercedes and leave it on a street in Oakland. Because somehow, somewhere, a lie got told, and somebody believed it, that Oakland was a city that could be trashed. Somebody told this lie, and they told it often enough to people believed it, that there was an economic incentive to trashing the town called Oakland, that we didn't care. That there was a blogging when the Trib ran this story last week, where people said we were a trashy people who deserved it. Some idiotic person had the nerve to put that on a website to say, oh, more about Oakland. We are trashy people. We are not a trashy people. Oakland is a dignified city with lots of good and beautiful people. We're a place of incredible resilience. And even though folks outside of this community and maybe within this community have thought we were trashy, we say not so. So I'm not going to speak to all of the legality that is in this. You all have heard the statistics who listened in earlier. The city attorney's department will really speak to each of the provisions in this new ordinance. But I will say this, we've had enough. Noel Gallo, you said a clean city is a safe city. And I agree with you. But it's more than just the cleanliness. This says to people who would think that we do not take this crime seriously that we've had enough. We will empower our city attorney to prosecute you. But we're a compassionate town, so if it's your first offense and somehow you just didn't know that what you were doing wrong, we'll give you an opportunity to make it right. You can do some restorative justice work, but if you want to trash this town with impunity, we say that we will prosecute you to the full extent of the law. If that means seizing your vehicle, we will do that. We will pursue you in court. We will empower our business owners and our residents to tell the truth about who you are. Because today the lie ends. This is not a city to be trashed or disregarded. We are not a disregarded people nor a disregarded place. So I urge your passage, and I look forward to the full implementation of this ordinance and a restoration to law and order in our town. Thank you.